Hello, friends. Welcome here to the Daily Quest number 43. My name is Solid Jake, and today we are talking about Malfurion. Now, originally on the schedule, and I'm sure I said it on the show, yesterday was supposed to be an episode that was a Wonky Wednesday on Thrall. That got canceled due to the fact that we had the PTR go up with Li Ming, or Li Ming, I said it right. People have been saying Mi Lang and Li Mang and all kinds of different awful pronunciations, and it has plagued my brain. But it's okay, we're going to make it through this. Now, she went live, so we just had to do an episode on her, and she's super, super fun, very good hero. Today's episode was supposed to be Rhaegar, but Rhaegar is basically getting completely reworked. I'm not going to do a build discussion on a hero that is going to have completely different builds in coming weeks. So we're going to postpone that 1 to 2 weeks to get ready for an actual discussion for Rhaegar after we see the new style. Will Bloodlust be viable? Will it be all about Chain Lightning builds? What about all the new wolf talents, etc.? Today is all about Malfurion, but we have two things to get through before we get to our Malfurion discussion. First off, big thing happened last year before heroes even went into public launch. Back last spring, about a full year ago, there was this thing called Heroes of the Dorm, and tonight, or today, just a couple hours ago, they announced Heroes of the Dorm 2016 with more than $500,000 in prizing. Basically, the team that wins all of this, the college that wins all of this, will be getting more or less full tuition for their college education, which is a pretty darn big deal. Now, this is brought to you by Blizzard, ESPN, and TESPA. Now, TESPA, the collegiate esports division of Blizzard. Blizzard bought them out a few years ago. ESPN, that's a big deal. ESPN was part of this last year, but they've just launched a new esports division. They actually have esports on ESPN.com. So to have this be a another sanctioned event, another partnership for 2016 is really big. I mean, I am going to do everything I can to be involved, because last year, actually just a very, very short story. Last year, I have a background in production, and a lot of you guys do know that, I worked in production for many years, and that's kind of how I ultimately became a commentator, is because I worked with MLG and I worked with all these different companies doing production. But I got brought on to Heroes of the Dorm as a replay guy. I was the expert in the production room. Since I was so familiar with the production environment, I basically told them what the replays would be, and we would clip those out. I would tell them the game's about to end, so the whole production team would be like, okay, yeah, the game's gonna end. I would consult them when it came to like when they can show camera shots and stuff during the games, but that was hard. There's a whole chain of command that I had to go through. That was very difficult. But like when you saw Cattle Prod go, wow, everyone type SJake wow in chat. That was kind of like me going, you can take the camera, because it was right after a big play. And a lot of the TV, especially since Heroes was like it wasn't even live yet, right? It was still very young. They didn't really know how to broadcast the game. A lot of these people were TV production staffs, people that had worked on like, the Emmys, the Grammys, whatever. They worked on big TV shows, but they had never done something like Heroes of the Dorm. So Heroes of the Dorm, obviously the crew will be infinitely better for this year. The show was honestly really awesome. It was on ESPN3, and this year, and then ESPN2 for the finals, it's going to be the same deal. So this will be on national television, but I'm gunning for a casting spot more so than a production spot this time around. Anyways, the whole event, it's huge for the community. It's huge for people that are aspiring pro gamers, that are college students. This gives you a chance to prove yourself in a completely different way. Huge prizes on the line. I mean, the live event will be absolutely phenomenal. The Shrine Arena last year was so cool. The venue was filled up. The line was full and at capacity like 4 hours before the event even started. And who knows where they're going to do it this year, but I can promise you that it is going to be one heck of an event. The other bit of an announcement is I have a beta version now live of solidjakegg.com, and let's just swap over. It's a very, very young, very early version of the website, but wow, look, you can see the stream here on the homepage, a little bit delayed, and you can see the chat. Oh my God, you guys are on TV. Oh, that's beta. What is that? No, beta. Now we got Streamception going on here. I want to see this go all the way. I want to commit to it. But basically the idea of the website is it's going to be one-stop location where you can pretty much get all the info on every single show, like Daily Quest, Town Hall Heroes, Town Hall Overwatch, which is coming up pretty soon, and then further things like tournaments, which will be populating up on the calendar as well. You can just get the updates. Yes, we got Streamception going deep. We're deep enough. You can get further updates on things like the various shows. If you just want to know exactly what happened on Town Hall this week, you can just click on Town Hall. It is lagging furiously. Yes, but then you can go to Town Hall and you can listen to the MP3. You can download the MP3. You can see this is kind of buggy still, but you know the next show is about a week out. Social media stuff, and then of course this is actually a functioning playlist, but this is the most recent upload. And then for the daily quest, this is really nice because this way you can see the themes for each week. So we had Stitches on Tuesday this week. We did a Li Ming thing yesterday. We're doing Malfurion today, and tomorrow's EduCast Li Ming edition. So submit your replays. And calendar will be cool. Now, eventually there will be a whole guide section where there are like really, this is going to be a huge project, an in-depth section with all the guides that I create for every single hero in the game. That will be launching, I'm hoping, within the next week. It's going to take me a long time to build it, but I have, I'm in that drive mode, right, to just get it all done. And then I have a PC. People ask me what I use for streaming equipment all the time, so I finally made a complete list here. SolidJakeGG.com. Go check it out. It's still in the early stages. It will get better, but I'm pretty pumped to have it up and running finally. All right, well, we are talking Malf, and Malfurion is a support that just got a bit of a buff. They gave him some improvements to his regrowth while taking away a little bit of sustain from Tranquility. Now, last night, Bakery was saying something along the lines of Tranquility actually heals more than before, which I don't fully understand. But that's what he was. I'm going to take his word for it, but I don't actually know what he's talking about, because the patch notes claim that Tranquility was nerfed and they buffed regrowth. And they specifically said they're trying to put more front-loaded healing on regrowth to maybe open up the opportunities for Twilight Dream to be an option there for Malfurion, as it's literally all about Tranquility right now. As it stands, they're not. SolidJake.gg was taken, believe it or not. That's why I don't have that. But so. Malfurion's a hero that does have a pretty darn good talent pool. Well, he's not the best, but as supports go, he definitely does see, you know, some responsive selections there for a lot of his talents. So just kind of looking at like a pretty generic Malfurion build that you could think of, you could just grab every regrowth talent. Like even at level 1, I put Moonburn just because I think Moonburn's really good. But if you want to go for Harmony, you could. They just buffed Shando Clarity. They just buffed Innervate in general. So you could definitely go for Shando Clarity at level 1. But I think that Moonburn is just gives so much more utility to Moonfire as a talent or as an ability for a lane clear. Because the additional 100% damage to minions and mercenaries is rather significant, and Moonburn is such or Moonfire is such a short cooldown. I mean, you can just spam those Moonfires every 3 seconds, and it doesn't really cost that much mana. It's very, very good for having the additional lane clear, and I think it's the go-to pretty much every single game, level 1, in my opinion. Level 4, you're generally speaking going to go for Rampant Regrowth just because it gives them a lot more burst. Now, they just improved Regrowth in general, but having additional burst healing, especially in a kind of burst-centric meta that we are in right now, is rather crucial. But if you look at the right side, the utility support, this is when you have... actually, you know what? Well, this is when you have, generally speaking, a secondary healer. If you don't think you need to have quite as much healing for your team, and you also have a Tassadar or a Tyrande or something on your team, but you want to have a greater impact when it comes to just control and utility in these fights, you can spec this utility style Elune's Grace. That's an additional 30% range on all of your casts, and that's really good for saving someone with a heal from afar. But really, what it's best for is that 30% additional range on your entangling roots can be super, super impactful. That is a very long cast that you get super early in the game to make those roots phenomenal. Cleanse at level 7. This is optional. This is a tier where you could really kind of play around with it. If you are really worried about the stuns and control on your opponent's team, go for Cleanse. A lot of control for your team. If you're worried about keeping your structures alive, you can consider Mule. You really can. I don't know that Strangling Vines is really ever worth it. I mean, the additional damage is cute, but it's not enough. And you have to go a full Trent build. Like if you went for Vengeful Roots and then Strangling Roots, then you want to play Malfurion, as we like to call it. You could try it, but it's in an unoptimal style at the end of the day, unfortunately. And Enduring Growth, if you just want the heals, even with a control style Malf, if you don't need Cleanse, Enduring Growth, probably the next best option. But Enduring Growth, absolutely crucial for this standard support. Tranquility, 99% of the time. Twilight Dream, still not quite good enough. It's like a less flexible Wailing Arrow that makes Malfurion really vulnerable. And it's pretty easy to stun it too, because it does have a bit of a startup. Level 13, we're going to go for Life Seed on the full support style, but this is a tier where pretty much 3 out of 4 of the talents are actually well worth picking up. So Life Seed is the easiest one. You're just automatically going to heal. Every 7 seconds, you're going to throw out a heal in an ally. It's basically having a second regrowth that doesn't cost mana, which is huge. Or 20-second cooldown, excuse me. Why does it say cooldown 7 seconds and then 20-second cooldown? That's weird. Anyways, it's quite nice to have that popping around. Hi, Chef. Chef is messaging me, doing a show. I love Chef. Anyways, Shrink Ray, really good for control. If you're worried about locking down the enemy heroes, you're worried about getting some peel onto that Sonya or that Thrall that are diving in and trying to just burn up your team, well, Shrink Ray is a great way to deny them. You also have Roots, so there is some overlap with Roots and Shrink Ray in the way they work, but you also see Shrink Ray picked up on Uther a lot, right? For the same reason. Hammer of Justice can only stop so much. Shrink Ray is just another option when that Root's on cooldown. Full minute cooldown on Shrink Ray, but still can have a huge impact. Last but not least is Ice Block. Now, a lot of new players don't realize this, but Tranquility persists through Ice Block. So if you pop Tranquility and then you pop Ice Block to nullify all the damage coming in, you're still healing yourself and everyone around you. So that is a very strong talent to go for. Again, if you don't know what to get, you can just grab Life Seed. It's going to get guaranteed value. But if you're really worried about being dove upon, and the enemy team has a very divey composition, and you're just struggling to stay alive, and you need a little bit more longevity in the fights for Tranquility, you just pick up Ice Block. Oh, Sheth, so handsome in the chat. There he is. I love him. All right, level 16. Now, Hardened Focus is probably your go-to. This is a 50% cooldown reduction on all of your abilities as long as you're more or less topped off. You have to be above 80% health. This is the generic talent a lot of heroes have, but I mean, Malf doesn't really suffer from mana problems all that much, and being able to spam these abilities, staying alive in the back line, can have a huge impact. So you can definitely go for this in both of these builds, even if you're going for the utility style. But Tenacious Roots, I mean, it's a 25% larger radius and a 25% larger or longer duration. Or, no. Yeah, okay. I read that right. You know, sometimes all these numbers, they all blur together because it's like 25, 25.5. And I always get confused by myself with some of the varying stats that exist on these things because there's so many different versions of each ability. But yeah, Tenacious Roots is essentially just more control. And Tenacious Roots pairs really well with Elune's Grace because we're talking about a ton of range, also with Rewind. So you're basically having bigger, badder roots only from one talent, but this is kind of akin to specking into Earthgrass, Totem, and Rhaegar, which just got a big buff. I'm super pumped about that. It's kind of akin to that because you're getting a lot more control late game, but Double Root is, let me tell you, Double Root can have a huge impact. You can get double regrowth, double root, really good. It is sometimes tough to give up Storm Shield just because the startup of Storm Shield, which is what you would get for the normal support style, is so crucial to denying a lot of damage as Tranquility is starting to ramp up and get those heals off underneath the shields. So there's a really strong pairing with Tranquility and Storm Shield in particular, probably one of the best in the game for a support, just having a ton of like really just like you pop all of those abilities and you got Life Seed going off of one hero and you regrowth another hero. Everyone's got heals. You feel like the Oprah Winfrey of healers because everyone gets a heal and everyone's happy, you know, except the enemy team that can't kill you and they're really upset. But at the end of the day, Malfurion still isn't quite as popular as a lot of the other supports. Like, actually, Malfurion sees less play than Karazim, Tyrande, Uther, Medic. I mean, he's probably on par with Medic now, but he really hasn't been seeing nearly as much play as a lot of these other supports. And it's just because of the burst style meta. Now, recently, they just gave him the big buffs there to his regrowth, and I think this will massively help the hero, and we'll start to see him more and more, especially as players start to get used to playing him once again. But there's also another big benefit to Malfurion, especially in EU right now. The fact that Stitches has re-entered the meta, he has stormed the meta, and he is back in action, is like an indirect buff to the viability of Malfurion, because Stitches and Malfurion have always been best friends. I mean, they basically hold hands at all times, and you can tell that Stitches and Malfurion would make a great couple because of how similar they are. But the root follow-up, or just as the hook is going out, you throw the predictive root on the ground, and it can have a huge impact. And we're going to actually take a look at a replay that features this exact pairing. We've got our buddy Stitches, and we've got Malfurion. This was from Enter the Storm. I believe it was during the playoffs. It's Bubble Squad. That's going to be the Malfurion Stitches. So Bubble Squad here on the right, and then Goofers on the left side. So Bubble Squad v Goofers. Probably didn't update any of this stuff here. Yep, it looks terrible, but we're going to run with it. The Daily Quest logo is all but ineligible. Illegible? Illegible? Yeah, that's the word. We did it, and we are here on Battlefield of Eternity. 2-lane map, but Stitches has so many fun places to hook. And we'll see exactly what our Malfurion can do. We're just going to speed up the start of the game by 1 tick. False side flapping his wings ferociously. He's so ready. 2 arms we go. And back to normal speed. And bam, right out of the gates, we see Moonburns picked up. Now, there's an additional case for Moonburn. We'll get to that topic in a second. The hook goes out, no connects, and that'll be disengaged. So there's an additional case for Moonburn on this map because of how nice it is to have all that damage to clean up the minions quickly. Oh, the dreams, Sean Simon. He is taking the time to be an excellent human being and steal all the limelight because everyone's just like, oh my god, Chef. But yeah, Moonburn's great for just pushing out the lanes quickly. It's good against the Immortals. You can just spam it for days while you're doing the Immortal phase. And like I said, compared to the other level 1 talents, it is just kind of better. Like, it's just so much more efficient. The regrowth talent to reduce the cooldown of your or reduce the cost, is it? Cost the cooldown. I never even get that talent, boys. Oh, the roots go down. Blizzard Raining doing a lot of damage. Sonya whirlwinding, trying to get out of there, and looks like she will be successful in doing so, just barely escaping. Big condemn there from Johanna. Sonya with the re-engage, but Malf's got those heals, and Stitches got them peels. Peels and heals for days. So yeah, Harmony, the level 1, if Moonfire hits a target, it reduces the mana cost of regrowth. Like, that's not that good. I'd rather have Moonburn 9 times out of 10. It's just more effective. Yes, having the mana reduction can be nice for sure, but I don't think it's worth it. I think he'd be better off if he still had Conjurer's Pursuit and Conjurer's Pursuit, excuse me, pronunciation. I will always butcher that word. He used to have it back in the day. I just think a more interesting mana talent would be cool for him, but this one not so much. All right, well, nice bit of a race here in favor of the red side. We do see the start in favor of Bubble Squad. Goofers not too far behind. Chat, you guys crack me up. All right, well, they're starting to work on this. Sonya going forward. Barrel roll from Fall Side away. Big Blizzard Condemn combo, and that is a dead kill. Thos. Really nicely done by Goofers. They're going to pick up 2 kills and 3 kills and win out the first Immortal phase. Falstad and Muradin trying to poke from this right side, but the clumps are real. I mean, we saw that Condemn Blizzard just... Malfurion is pretty good at healing a single target early game, but when it comes to situations like that, when you get a Condemn and a Blizzard on 3 members that does pretty much max damage, Malfurion's not going to do too good to stop that. If you can land that root to escape at the exact moment, yeah, you can get out of there. And root's very good for zoning those kind of situations. If you see someone diving in, the root will actually completely lock down this passageway and allow your team to escape in a lot of situations. But he still doesn't have that instant kind of response of like Uther running forward and throwing down a Hammer Justice to deny that Sonya the huge damage coming out. His roots are a very different impact than stuns. Okay. Immortal has made it down here to the bottom lane. And we do have Falstad versus Sonya in the top, just the 1v1. This Immortal shouldn't do all that much damage. We see they, you know, when you get Immortals this early, they tend to dissipate pretty quickly, but they got both towers, so it is well worth, and we have a full level lead due to the 3-0 kills and the first Immortal on the side of Goofers. Bubble Squad, they're just going to look for some hooks right now. That's really the best thing they can do. Poke around, see if they can find someone out of position, and the moment they realize that they might be, you know, there's no immediate threat here in the bottom lane, they just start working on this. Now, we do see that we have Goofers going for an early bruiser camp. This is going to get cleaned up pretty quickly. It's usually a little bit more efficient to try to save that camp for the second spawn of the Immortals, because these guys, they won't be alive for another 4 minutes, and the Immortals will be up, you know, in half that time. So we'll see exactly how well they can escort these. The fact that they got these 2 towers down does give the Fallen Shaman a little bit of additional benefit, but we'll see. The double warriors in the front taking a lot of damage. Malf has got those heals. Talent-wise, Amplified Healing is really going to make Malfurion's regrowth do a ton there for Stitches, and he also went for rampant regrowth. So every time you see these regrowths go down onto Stitches, he is going to get an obscene amount of healing. And he actually went for Dampened Magic, which is quite interesting. He just really wants to be able to sustain through, I guess, Blizzard in general. Not really a common pickup there for Stitches players. Usually we just see Hungry for More, especially when you consider Dampened Magic doesn't help all that much versus Sonya, who's doing those big bad auto attacks. But it does help a fair bit in general. So just an interesting stylistic choice there by Stitches. Still going to be very hard to kill. Falstad flying up to the top lane. Going to throw out his Hammerang, clear up this wave as best he can versus that Sonya, but he's still staying close to his wall because he knows the threat of the Ancient Spear and the follow-ups that exist from that. Just wants to be in range of barrel rolling behind his wall. We see all this creep spread that has been nicely placed down from Zagara is giving them a really nice, you know, buffer of vision around this Immortal. And it's just a lot of zoning experience. Pretty much dead even. A little Hydralisk wandering forward, chasing Curson back, and it gets lost, and it decides to go the other way because it lost vision of Muradin. Poor little sad lost Hydralisk. Ancient Spear going in from Sonya. The Blizzard crashing down once again. Some very safe posture. It's all about ETC getting that hook and a root follow-up for the team. Now, there's several follow-ups. We have roots, we have gravity labs, but Stitches is getting super low. Able to get back up behind the Immortal. A nice hook goes out onto Nasty, played by Jaina. And Jaina does trade out Stitches, so he dies for his hook. Will they get him? The heals from Uther, keeping him alive. The Hammerang has been juked, and the Moonfire actually picking up the kill. But Sonya going forward. Ancient Spear, nice roots the peel for Muradin, and he's able to back on away. 1 for 2 in favor of the blue side Goofers. Bubble Squad, though, they're on the defensive, so even though they're down a hero, it's on their Immortals on their side of the map, and they can still safely protect it pretty well, especially with heroes respawning, and they will be there much sooner than their opponents. A lot of damage going up onto Blade. Falstad, can he get it? Dwarf Toss goes in. It's still not enough damage. Sonya gets away with just a sliver of health right now. We do see we have Stitches in the front line. He gets those fat heals, but he's locked the roots, trying to peel for him, but way overextending. Like, Stitches is a fatty. And when you're a fatty, you're good at body blocking, but you're also really easy to body block. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that really worked against him there. Nice juke of the Ancient Spear by Lassive, but Stitches, oh, he's dead. And now we have a big window where, you know, they're about half a level up, way closer to having their Storm talents. They won the first half, the Immortal phase, taking almost no damage on their Immortal, and they're likely going to get themselves back-to-back Immortals here on Battlefield of Eternity. Right now, we do see they're trying to poke in, throwing down the hammer. It looks like we have Bubble Squad trying to get on the offensive. Gravity Lab is going to connect on Johanna, but she's a slippery one. Body blocks attempted here from Muradin, but Kirsten does need to step away. Lassive starting to burn down this guy. There's a nice flame strike going off top lane. We do see this Immortal is being worked on by Jaina and Sonya, and they are going to win this race handily. Even in a 2v5 scenario, it's going to be... Oh, wow. It's a lot closer than I thought it would be, but they still will be the ones that get the Immortal. Not too much shielding here on the side of the Bubble Squad Immortal, but Goofers are still on the back foot. They need their heroic abilities. Getting a bit of a talent update. Malfurion has gone from Moonburn with Rampant Regrowth and Enduring Growth. So this is just going to make that heal absolutely massive. And then Moonbird, and once again, good for pushing out minions and mercs. These towers are definitely going to fall here with this fort. It's going to be under pressure, but they should be able to defend it. We see the shields have dissipated, which means the Immortal switches over to the melee form, and it's more vulnerable. But with this front line of Johanna, Sonya, and Uther with the Hammer of Justice, they are not even remotely willing to go forward, especially without those heroic abilities. So the fort dissipating very quickly. Even these back towers, which are 650 experience a pop, are very much going to be in a lot of pain. Heroics picked up. Falstad flying, and up here he does have his heroic. Mighty Gust was picked up, as we usually do see on him, and they're able to defend one of the towers. The other one went down. Lag ready. Hooks connect there onto Sonya. No G-Lapse was used yet, and the Divine Shield comes out at the last moment to get Sonya on out. They cannot just pick up a single kill, it seems. They just have the one this game, but with D-Shield on cooldown, Bims is in a really bad spot, throwing out the hammer. The Putrid Bile locking him down, and he will end up falling. So we do see ET on top, picking up that control. Oh, it just throws out a wild hook. This is one of the big strengths of Stitches, but even if it connected, it probably would have been, no, if it hit Zagara or Jaina, they both would have died in that spot. So yeah, it's a good attempt, but no dice. All right, so this tower will fall very quickly. Experience slowly catching up, but they need to get the soak. Falstad needs to fly down bottom to match the soak of Johanna, and Lasev is going to do just that. This Khazra camp up top will be picked up, and Lasev literally lands on Johanna because she can see that pathing. Wants to get in, do as much damage as possible, force him to barrel roll and get behind his fort, and she is not afraid. Now, the new tower damage will make these kind of plays a little bit more punishing, but Johanna is not really one that's ever been worried about the damage from structures. Khazra camp with double warrior just being, just pushing safely. They don't want to get over aggressive. We do see the fallen shaman have been picked up over here, and it looks like we have Bubble Squad getting ready to pick up their own. On the left side here, Bims and Lotus working on the Khazra. So it's just going to be a lot of trades when it comes to the varying mercenaries, and Sonya going to be able to clean these up quickly. 20 seconds until the next spawn, but there's going to be another talent tier advantage on the blue side. So really what we need to see happen right now is we've seen a continuous back foot for Bubble Squad. They're just constantly getting the lesser exchanges in these fights, and they need to try to just land some hooks. You can follow up with Gravity Lapse, Storm Bolt, Roots, you name it. There's a lot of big plays. Or they can land a root on a single target or Gravity Lapse on a single target and follow that up with a Mighty Gust. So now that they have level 10, their opportunities raise greatly. Their team fight potential goes up greatly because Tranquility is it just excels in a lot of team fight situations. But Stitches, he's not landing any hooks quite yet. And he's been a little bit over aggressive with his positioning a few times. Now he's gonna be able to get away with a lot more now that he has Putrid Bile and Savor the Flavor. So he's got a lot more self-sustain, and he's going to excel in being a little bit more hammed. We'll see exactly what he can do. He is very, very deep right now, popping that Putrid Bile early in this fight, trying to defend the Immortal. He's surrounding Mighty Gust, disengaging Uther, trying to get him away so the heals cannot get there, and that works out beautifully. But a three-man Maw does connect here from Zagara. Beezy trying to back away. Tranquility is used in response, and those big bad Malf heals are just healing this entire team to full. They successfully defend their Immortal. They just get the single kill on Sonya, but they only spend, oh gosh, they used all their heroics. Divine Shield still available. The one heroic off cooldown, but we do see that Wrath of Berserker, which is pretty much always off cooldown, it seems, is just about ready as well. Halftime show is here, and the Immortals are just about dead even. We do see the hook going out, just barely missing on Jaina. Very unfortunate, but we'll see if they can pick up a kill regardless. Nice ice block, dodging the storm, but the Gravity Lapse not enough to connect, and Blizzard raining down zoning beautifully, and that's going to put Cursor in a bad spot. Has to dwarf toss to safety. Putrid Bile ready in 2 seconds. Tranquility down for another 40, so they don't have those big AoEs. They have to use Mighty Gust to try to disengage, but they lose Kael'thas early. Lasev taking huge damage from Sonya. Can they peel her off? The heals from Malf are, you can see, very significant, and Putrid Bile used from ET on top, but he is still so far forward. The heals from Malfurion coming at the last moment, but not enough for the heals, even with a rampant regrowth. Curson, does he have Dwarf Toss available? Doesn't look like it, and they just really a little bit too spread out in that fight. We saw half the members going this way. Muradin was trying to zone here. Malf was way back. They lost Kael'thas super early, and they just got picked apart in the chaos of the disengage. Very unfortunate there, but Goofers take themselves a big fight and get another Immortal. Man, they are not having a lot of luck in this game. We haven't seen a whole lot of hooks have an impact, and that's a big benefit too. The roots of Malfurion. Tyrande also works very well with that. But it's not over yet. 2-level disadvantage on the side of Bubble Squad, excuse me. Goofers looking to press their advantage. They're getting ready to escort this Immortal and take out the last fort. They're pushing on in here, and we see a lot of damage going down Lotus. Of course, you always want your warriors in the front line. That's exactly where he is. Falstad split soaking in the top lane. They're just trying to catch up. No level 16 quite yet, but as these towers fall, they will have that advantage. Falstad flying down, going to try to Mighty Gust just to buy some time. But level 16 is pretty much inevitable at this point, and that's why you see the blue team playing just a little bit passively. Goofers just kind of keeping back a little bit. Now level 16 has been hit. We can see they go for Numbing Glass, not Northern Exposure. And that's going to give them just a lot of control on those frontliner heroes. Immortal on the keep. This keep is going to fall, but the big Phoenix going down. Divine Shield has to be used to keep Johanna alive, and they're pushing this back with the Immortal still standing. Defensive Maw was used. Flame Strike out. No one going to end up falling on either side, but the keep being down is absolutely devastating here on the side of Bubble Squad. Lambie. He's running around. He's looking for something nice to do. He's just going to push this out. Does need to be wary because you can see cheeky things happen like, okay. As soon as he backs away, if he stayed, they would have flanked around here. Those hallways can be disastrous if you're not aware of those rotations happening, because it's very uncommon to see a team have any vision back there. Even like Abathurs, they often don't put toxic nests up there unless they're hiding up there themselves. And we rarely see Zagaras ever put creep tumors up there. Those hallways are just blind spots on the radar 9 times out of 10. We do see the mercenary camps pretty much just being traded out evenly, but the Fallen Shaman have not even been started yet. So this is something where we could see contested by Goofers. But I'm not so certain that they're feeling it, and yeah, it's going to be picked up here on the side of Bubble Squad. So even trades on the Merc Camp, still level 16 advantage. Oh, they're just backing up. They're going to give it up. They could have grabbed it because the roots were there beautifully to zone, but they're playing better safe than sorry. Curson going to have to dwarf toss to safety, and a nice steal there on the Bruiser Camp. Bottom lane, we have double catapults with Fallen Shaman that has to be responded to. Lotus even just wanting to try to escort this a little bit further forward, but he's more just trying to be like, hey, look, I'm a threat. Look at me, defend your bottom lane. But the rest of the team is actually pushing top. Towers will go down quickly. Beautiful split focus here, and just the fact that Johanna shows bottom forces them to get scared and try to, scramble their defenses in a way. So it's just a really nice play, poking hurt around the corner like that. Not even dismounting, not even doing anything, just showing yourself can force a response out of your enemy. And this is really cool. They're waiting to ambush the backside. They're rushing on in. Sonya looking for the Ancient Spear. She can get it on Kael'thas, but they're going for Stitches. He's a bit secluded. The double warriors, Putrid Bile has to be used early, and they're a bit split up. The hook could come out, goes out, but does not quite reach. Zagara so close, but no dice. And now it's a disengage here. Putrid Bile was used for Wrath of a Berserker, 1-for-1 in terms of heroics, but Wrath will be ready much more quickly. And we do see it's still actually even active on Sonya. Was able to retain that with her Fury, but now they're being backed up. Is Iron Skin ready? Divine Shield is used early on Johanna, sustaining through all of that damage. The hook once again being whiffed by, has he hit a hook yet? I think he hit one. And they're starting to work on that top Immortal. Malfurion getting those fat heals out. Where are his numbers right now? He's got 46,000 in comparison to the 40,000, so he's slightly out healing Uther. But more, I don't know how many fights he's actually used Tranquility. Maybe twice so far in this game. Tranquility is where he really puts out those big healing numbers. Sonya taking a lot of damage. Hook once again not quite connecting. Now that we have Fishing Hook, it is definitely a massive threat, so they're always on the lookout for that ability, and level 16 talents are going to make this a much better situation for the team in general, just being on that even talent tier. Problem is they're still down 2 levels, so it's a big statistic disadvantage for our boys on Bubble Squad, and they immediately lose Stitch as he pops Putrid Bile. Jaina with that ice block, throwing down the water. Ellie trying to peel, but she will die 1-for-1 in terms of the trades. Muradin dwarf tossing aggressively, looking for that lockdown. Stormbolt on both Johanna and Zagara, but again, there's no follow-up. They're just kind of buying some space there for their Immortal. They need to heal up. Malf does have these big heals, and they're working out nicely, but Muradin, as the lone warrior, needs to be cautious. They have Falstad trying to catch up here in terms of damage, but they are very much behind. Well, only about 15% in terms of total health on Immortals. Stitches will be alive in 10 seconds, much larger death timer due to the higher level here for the blue team. Goofer is just going to be out of Jaina for a lot longer, and this is a good situation for Bubble Squad because they have the Immortal on their side. Stitch is just about back in action. Falstad needs to be careful, has to Mighty Gust, but now Sonya is really far forward, needs that Divine Shield. Bims, will he be so lucky himself? Does the hook finally connect? He's running. The hook goes out, and yes, we did get a successful hook in this game. That we do see this Immortal did take a lot of pressure, but now that Uther has died, they need to play a bit more passively. Jaina back in action. She's making her way out. The Ghost of Uther has expired, and that hook is off cooldown once again. So they're going to start working on the Immortal safely, just playing in the backside. Kilthas needs to back up when the stuns come out. Just got to be as cautious as possible. They're catching up in terms of damage, but we have the flank from Sonya. Ton of damage being thrown out immediately, but Arcane Barrier used by Kilthas. The heal's not quite ready for ETC. Now they're coming out. Do we have that hook off cooldown? Curson gets some big heals from Malfurion as well, but the defense has been thwarted. They're pushing on in. The hook goes out onto Sonya this time. Gravity Lapse was on Zagara. Living Bomb, not quite enough for the kill, but the Chain Bomb onto Jaina might actually kill her. Oh my goodness, that's actually tragic. It's so uncommon to see a Chain Bomb from your ally kill someone else in a competitive match, and that's going to put them very much on the back foot now, and suddenly we have Goofers a little bit behind Bubble Squad. Bubble Squad back into it. They're back in the game. We'll see where they go next. Now, remember, this bottom keep has been down for a while. Falstad had just been cleaning out this lane. We have the Hearths going back to base. Hammerang cleaning up the waves of minions. And bam, the first Immortal for the Bubble Boys. Bubble Boys, what can they do with this first Immortal? Can they do anything esports? Can they destroy a fort, maybe? That's the goal. They need to catch up in experience. They're not that far behind anymore. After the successful team fights that they just took and the successful kills they picked up, with the underdog bonus, they've started to catch up quite a bit. So they're looking to turn this around and catch up for level 20. A very obvious hook. I mean, I hate seeing these hooks that are just kind of obvious, but at the same time, it's a 16-second cooldown, and by the time that you're going to need the hook again, it's going to be ready. So it doesn't hurt to throw it out in those kind of situations. Okay, Immortal has lost its shields. They're taking out the towers. The experience gap has been closed. They're going to take the lead. That's the power of the underdog bonus when you manage to take these fights. Hook goes out once again, barely whiffing, missing Jaina by a little bit, and we see Putrid Bile used defensively. Big heals going out from Malfurion. The self-heal, and they pick up Uther very quickly. Divine Shield wasn't even used in time, but that's a big maw. Now, unfortunately, Blizzard was just used, so it won't be ready, but that Tranquility, denying all that massive AoE damage that was used afterwards. They're pushing in. The Stormbolt not going to be able to get Sonya before she gets over the wall, but Falstad going forward, throwing out a raw hammering, but not quite connecting. Immortal has expired, and they are behind enemy lines. This is a risky situation, so they should probably just back up after the successful win. No reason to overstay your welcome and then throw the lead that you just now picked up. Storm talents have been acquired. Suddenly, we have Bolt Epic Mount with Storm Shield. Again, Storm Shield pairs very well with Tranquility, Rewind, and then Hardened Shield. So Stitches, he likes to go ham. Now he can actually go home because he has Putrid Bile and Hardened Shield to really get out of the thick of things. The offensive Fallen Shaman camp was picked up here. That's just going to deny some of this additional lane presence that exists. And catapults are actually now here in the bottom to match the catapults of the blue side Goofers. We have the top Khazra camp not being picked up yet. They decided to focus on getting the structures down first. This is the safe thing to do. You know the enemy team is responding to bottom lane. So they just quickly burn down this fort, and they're going to go pick up this camp afterwards. Just going to keep the pressure on. Level 20 now reached on the side of Goofers. We have double Bolt with with Indestructible, Ignore, Pain, and Redemption. So this is now a super hyper-sustained team. Falstad just flew away. Oh, some lag spikes going down, and they need to retreat. Now, Roots could really close this gap off if they desperately needed it. They're going to be able to back away, but you notice Falstad quickly rotated back on up after flying, saying, oh my goodness, if my team dies now, it's all my fault, because I'm the one that is Mighty Gus, and I'm the one that's not there. Okay, Fallen Shaman, they are going to be cleaned up very quickly, and this is just a nice small benefit. This bottom siege camp hasn't been touched yet, but there is still a chance that, no, they're not even going to bother wasting their time for it. So we will have Fallen Shaman pushing out that top lane, and these Immortals are on the respective sides of each team, so they're in a defensive position and kind of a little bit risky to engage upon. I like Kael'thas just kind of waiting till the fight starts to shape out. As soon as the hook is being cast, they move forward. This is kind of like some cool communication where you have these are the primary targets for Sonya. These are the targets that goofers want to kill. These two, they don't have the escape, and they're the ones that they just need to die. Primary damage dealer and the one support. And they're just waiting, but as soon as Stitches says, I'm going to throw hook, they both rotate around. So it's really nice to see those kind of things, because Roots and Gravity Lapse are what really make hook such a good ability. You need to lock down that target once you pull it in, but we haven't seen a whole lot of that in this game in particular. All right, Johanna going up front. We see that Tranquility used with Putrid Bile, and the Maw is going to deny a big duration of that Tranquility, which is a big problem. Falstad does end up getting blown up. The Roots here able to zone Sonya a little bit, but she's just dashing away. Well, so very low is nasty, but Curson not able to get those last hits. But Lotus with the Indestructible is still standing. Stormbolt going out. Curson with the self-heals. Gonna have to try to, no, he's just going to stay in there. He's got all rights to do it because Muradin is OP. And we do see that Johanna did inevitably end up falling. Flame Strike does pick up Bims, and suddenly it's Redemption Uther trying to keep that Zagara alive, but Sonya is split up here at the bottom a little bit, and Nasty has been healed up rather nicely. Uther now respawning. It's still a 4v4, but Falstad will be up about 10 seconds before we see Johanna, and without their primary peeler, without that potato peeler Johanna, we're gonna see the backup happen here in the top lane. Now, we did have the Fallen Shaman pushing up the top. They did have to respond to it, but they did lose their towers, which is a bit of an issue because they're now also falling a little bit behind when it comes to the phase here on the Immortals. 3 seconds on Falstad. He can quickly fly back in the battle, but we have to see Putrid Bile there in Stitches. He uses that big hardened shield to stay alive, and the heals from Malf seem like makes him almost invincible, it seems. And now Sonya, too far forward, will go down. She throws out a desperate Ancient Spear onto Malfurion. The hook will not connect onto Bims, and Bolt of the Storm going forward. Gravity Lapse is in there, and the damage, the Stormbolt going out, and the huge picks up. They could actually just go and end the game here, but they're opting to stay on the Immortal. They're going to activate the halftime phase, and there's a lot of downtime that's going to benefit the blue side of Goofers quite a bit to just kind of, you know, get these heroes back alive. But the burst will be here with the opposite side. Immortal just flipping sides here. This is going to be focused rather quickly. Johanna trying to lock down Lassive. The huge damage from the Blizzard going down from Jaina. Condemn pulling him in as he tries to barrel roll, and that's a really huge pickup. Malfurion wasn't there because he went back to base for mana, but now he's getting in to the fight once again, trying to keep the team alive. Muradin going ham. The hook finally connecting. Second or third hook, I don't know the hook count, but they do get a nice pickup on Johanna as a result. This should be an effective Immortal picked up back-to-back here for Bubble Squad, and maybe they can actually push with this Immortal to end the game. They will not have Falstad for this push, and that makes it very risky to push into the enemy team's base because you don't have that big Mighty Gus disengage, but they do have Putrid Bile, and Putrid Bile is also a very good disengage mechanic. It gives Stitches movement speed, but it also puts down that big, fat 35% slow on the ground. And, well, it can have a lot of impact when it comes to just getting out of bad situations. This Immortal is about 70% shields active for it, and it's going to go towards the top lane where we see the Fallen Shaman did take out this wall, so this keep is pretty much going to die no matter what. But the one thing that Goofers need to be very wary of is these hooks, right? At this point, a hook just pretty much ends the game. If you lose one hero, you're already down 2, they're about to respawn, but if you lose one hero that's staggered for like another minute, it's lights out. So they have to be very cautious. Johanna is almost back alive. I like the fact that they've been waiting. This is very nice positioning by Blade to look for that flank onto primarily Malfurion. But Falstad has flown in, and as soon as Blade comes out, Falstad is into the fight. He throws out Mighty Gust to zone for the rest of the team. Storm Shield and Tranquility have to be used just because of the raw damage that she has. And even with the Nerves of Steel, I don't know if she can live. Hardened Shield or Divine Shield has to be used. Ancient Spirit going forward, but just too much healing from Malfurion. Lambie in the front. Curson needs a Dwarf Toss. Does he have it available? Oh, yes, he's going to be able to stay alive. That dwarf skin, boys, it is tough. But 3 members picked up into that mod. Johanna does that. It stitches the hook, juked nicely by nasty hooks. And we have Falstad going forward. The hammerang enough for the kill. GG after being very far behind. We do see a successful victory from our boys on Bubble Squad. Bubble Squad. GG. Now, I'm currently, actually pretty much the entire cast. Come here. Come here. I was being assaulted by this nugget. Man, I'll tell you, when your knees are being tickled by a cat that just rubs against you constantly, this cat loves humans too much. You're the weirdest cat. She's the weirdest cat. It's my roommate's cat. She's not even mine. And she doesn't leave me alone, ever. Why? Why do you do this, maybe? Why are you so loving? Why are you so loving? Cats, man. They're the best. Anyways, we took a look at a couple of the styles that exist for Malfurion. There's tons of talents that are viable. Of course, all of that was at the start of the video. I mean, these are probably the two. If you're new to Malf, you just picked him up, you want to, try Malfurion out in the Nexus and get all of that esportsing done, I would go with that first build. But if you got a second support on your team, you want to be a little bit more utility, go for the second build. Damn, that mod spam being abused in Twitch chat. All right, so as always, tomorrow will be an episode of Educast where I commentate community-submitted replays, viewer-submitted replays. And, well, tomorrow is a Li Ming Educast. So I want you guys to send me your absolute favorite Li Ming builds. It was so funny casting this game right now because I cast it, and as I was casting, I was like, man, I should have took a replay from the PTR because the PTR is just so much more interesting right now. It's so different. I was just like, Malfurion is not really getting changed, and he's great, and he's going to be even better in this patch. But I just want to play the PTR. So we're going to be playing the PTR in a little bit, and tomorrow I'll be casting your Meling games from the PTR. Ice Block is still very good, but so is Life Seed. So it's situational Amplify Magic. Definitely a really good talent. If you're worried about being dove upon, I would still definitely get Ice Block. Against Sonya, there's a huge case for Ice Block because Sonya's so good. Against Thrallwood Sundering, there's a case for Ice Block. If you can juke those Sunderings and then have that Tranquility ready for your team as they all get sundered, you nullify a huge part of that initiation. You just pop Ice Block to negate Sundering, and then you insta Tranquility into Roots to stall them from getting to your team. And it's like it's huge when you see that done successfully. Like you just turn around that fight. It's so fun to watch those kind of plays. So it's hard to do. Sundering comes quick, and if you're blindsided by a Sundering flank, it's hard to time that Ice Block. But if you can get it, oh my goodness, is it esports. So it's definitely a big case for that heroic, especially with those kind of hard initiations like Sundering. All right, well, like I said, Daily Quest Educast tomorrow. And Remur, why are you so excited? Because I'm petting a cat on stream. And yes, G2A, my official partner. You can use the code SJake. It supports me quite a bit, so I'd appreciate if you guys are making a purchase on G2A. If you use my code, it would be very much helpful for me. And last but not least, follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. All the things. I'm approaching the thresholds. I'm approaching 5K on YouTube, which is very exciting. And I'm approaching 6K on Twitter. Very exciting. Stream will continue in just a bit, but that does it for the Daily Quest number 43. GG.